A mother's silent sacrifice. Once, in a small village, there lived a widow named Mira and her son, Arjun. Mira worked hard every day to provide for her son after her husband's passing. Arjun, however, couldn't understand why they had so little compared to his friends. Mira did whatever she could to keep food on the table. She worked long hours as a seamstress, often staying up late into the night. Her fingers were sore from stitching, but she always smiled when Arjun asked for something. As Arjun grew older, he began to notice the differences between his life and his friends' lives. His friends wore new clothes, ate better food, and had more luxurious homes. Arjun felt embarrassed by his mother's simple ways and their lack of wealth. One day, Arjun came home angry after being teased by his classmates for his old clothes. He lashed out at Mira, asking why they couldn't have nicer things. Mira, heartbroken, quietly listened and didn't say a word in her defense. The next morning, Mira took on extra work to earn more money. She visited different households, offering to sew and clean for a small wage. Her body ached from the long hours, but she was determined to make Arjun happy. Arjun noticed that his mother was coming home later and later. He assumed she wasn't working hard enough to improve their lives. What he didn't know was that Mira was overworking herself for his sake. One evening, Arjun asked for new shoes because his old ones were worn out. Without hesitation, Mira promised to get them for him, though she didn't know how. She worked late into the night, sewing extra garments to earn the money. Mira finally saved enough to buy Arjun the shoes he wanted. She handed him the new shoes with a smile, but Arjun took them without much gratitude. He didn't see how hard she had worked to get them for him. Despite her sacrifices, Arjun continued to feel ashamed of their poverty. He spent more time with his wealthier friends and began distancing himself from Mira. He didn't realize that she was giving everything she had to make his life better. One day, Arjun's school was having a celebration, and he needed new clothes to attend. He asked Mira for money to buy something new, but this time, she didn't have enough. Instead of understanding, Arjun grew angry and accused her of not doing enough. Mira felt guilty and decided to sell her last valuable possession, her wedding ring. It was the only thing she had left from her late husband, but she couldn't bear to see Arjun upset. She took the ring to the market and sold it to buy him new clothes. The next day, Mira gave Arjun the money for his clothes, hiding the pain of her loss. Arjun took the money and rushed out to buy the clothes, unaware of what his mother had given up. Mira sat alone, holding back tears, knowing it was worth it to see him happy. At the celebration, Arjun looked just like his wealthy friends in his new clothes. He felt confident for the first time, blending in with the others. But deep down, he still felt a nagging guilt that he couldn't shake. Back home, Mira continued to work tirelessly to make ends meet. Her body grew weaker from the constant overwork and lack of rest. But she never complained, always thinking of Arjun's future. One evening, Mira collapsed from exhaustion and fell seriously ill. She could no longer get out of bed, leaving the household without income. Arjun, still unaware of her sacrifices, felt frustrated by her weakness. "Why can't you just get better, mother?" Arjun said, not understanding the toll her work had taken. Mira smiled weakly and said, "I'm fine, my son. Don't worry." But deep inside, she knew she couldn't keep going like this. With Mira bedridden, the household began to fall into financial trouble. Bills piled up and food became scarce, and for the first time, Arjun realized how much his mother had been carrying. He felt a pang of guilt for never appreciating her hard work. Arjun decided to take up his mother's work to support them. He tried sewing clothes like she did, but his hands quickly became sore and tired. It was then that he truly understood how hard his mother had worked for him. One day, while visiting a neighbor, Arjun overheard them talking about his mother's sacrifices. They spoke of how she had sold her wedding ring and worked herself to exhaustion for his sake. Hearing this, Arjun's heart sank as he finally understood the depth of her love. Arjun rushed home, his heart heavy with remorse. He found Mira resting in bed and knelt beside her, tears filling his eyes. "I'm so sorry, Mother. I didn't realize how much you've done for me," he whispered. Mira smiled softly and placed her hand on Arjun's cheek. "Everything I did was for you, my son," she said with love in her voice. Arjun wept, vowing to never take her for granted again. Moral of the story: true love is often silent and filled with sacrifice. We should always be grateful for the efforts others make for us, even when we don't fully understand them.